Click the links, join the channel here over at Subscribestar. I got a mailbox, mail me some comics. So we're going to go through why Hasbro in specific is having some trouble selling toys, but why toys in general, even toy stores, are having trouble. And this is a great example from a couple of years ago about woke movies. And basically, it's woke movies and comics have destroyed toys. It's not just one thing. Things are in the spider web of networks and their interconnectedness. And that was the thing with movies is as kids you didn't understand, but they made a movie like Star Wars 77, hugely successful movie, sure. And then you look at the toy sales and the merchandising tie-ins and the fast food restaurants selling garbage and T-shirts and like kids had bed sheets and pillowcases with that kind of tie, and you go, oh, so that. You look at how much it made, and it was like twice what the movies made. That's how powerful toy sales are, especially with kids. And the goal of that is to have a multi-generational connection to people, which Disney absolutely destroyed starting in 2015. So why are toys and toy stores failing? Yeah, how well did the Ghostbusters? Did you sell a lot of Ghostbusters 2016 toys? That would just be, they'd make the toys and they'd probably go to the clearance aisle after a week. They're like, yeah, we're just not moving any of these products, and the price just gets lower and lower. I think EVS used to go to toy stores and film them. And the funny thing is, I think some of those toy stores are out of business now. Toys R Us and KB Toys or something. So part of it, to be fair, is that digital is replacing physical toys. And God, Wonder Woman 84, what an abomination. Hey, everyone bad. The movie just got blonde hair. Shocking, I know. So digital is replacing physical toys because kids have phones and tablets and social media, and there's only 24 hours in the day. Fair enough. But which explains why kids are so screwed up now, because they're brainwashed by all the bullshit media that's coming across their insane social media. But, and, of course, government schools. Really, the only answer to that is you got to homeschool. Oddly enough, that's the one thing that has blown up over the Wu-Flu years is people have gotten very heavily invested in homeschooling. But because people started to see what their teachers were teaching them through the Zoom calls, and you go, oh, these teachers are actually insane. Some kid just got flunked because he said something like only women can get pregnant. It's like, well, if you redefine words, then can't the students also redefine words? Oh, I never really thought about that. But the other related reason toys are failing is that they're tied into movies and comics, which are written by obese soy boys and cat ladies who hate men and definitely hate Europeans, especially blonde and red-haired ones. Odd, I know. Charlie's Angels. I saw the first 15 minutes of that. I will say, to their credit, the first scene of the movie, I think, was an Asian man bad, which is really weird to see in a woke movie. So a little bit off script there, but it did not connect with an audience. So was there a scene with any of the actors dancing around in their panties, their Superman or Spider-Man underwear? I'm guessing no, I didn't see the movie. So every movie has got some artificial woke message of global subversion that doesn't connect with the audience. It doesn't stay with the audience like movies used to, that you still reference movies now 50 years or more later. It's ephemeral. It's a fog that rolls across a hilltop. It wets it, and in an hour the sun dries it. Oh, was that the James Bond movie? Oh, where he's on the back of a motor scooter and some pox-wox chick is in the front seat. Oh, gosh. I hope you got paid for that one. That movie was weird because the delays, it was like an insane amount of money, and then I think it just barely broke even. So movies are not movies like when we were kids. Modern woke films have the message, hate blonde people. That's pretty much and red hair. It's just really, who we're talking about, the people of the light, the green and blue-eyed people. So for an example, I was thinking, yes, you Hazel people are included, but for movies, they don't include you as the bad guy because Hazel is too ambiguous for them. So they use blue and blonde as the evil people. In fact, even in Wonder Woman 84, they wanted you to hate this Trump-like character so much, who's Latin American of some sort. So they dyed his hair blonde so you knew that you were supposed to hate blonde people. Odd. I mean, it's like when you see it, you will never unsee it, and then you start looking back at older movies and you go, oh my gosh, this stuff has been this egregious. It's been egregious for since post-World War II. Anyway, so I was thinking, for an example, the first movie that popped into my head was, I think, the latest Spider-Man, where they race swapped Mary Jane, played by, I forget her name. I don't know what she is, but she's not Mary Jane. And they're in Washington for some reason. And there's some message about a building was built by unpaid employees type of thing 200 years ago. That absolutely kills the movie because it takes you out of the willing suspension of disbelief to let you know that you're supposed to hate people from 200 years ago. Those evil English people, right? And, of course, the implication is they want to direct the hate. It's stochastic terrorism is what it is, to direct the hate against blonde people today. Why would we want to see that? We know how awesome we are. We are awesome. You're not going to make us hate ourselves. And I will say, like, more and more people are kind of awakening to have those in-group preferences today. So, I'll skip that. So nobody cares about some unpaid employees from 200. Hey, how well did that Dahomey movie go? Oh, well, we inverted history. It's just fiction. It's fictional. Well, I mean, it's based on a real tribe and the French and the English and the Dahomey tribe. I mean, those are all real things, real groups of people. Why did you just invert the good guys and the bad guys? It could have happened this way, but it didn't. The English and French and Dahomey actually existed, but the English and French are the good guys. Yeah, we just can't make a movie with the Pox, the bad guys, people of color, the bad guys. Why is that, Hollywood? How well did that movie do? Well, I mean, the movie failed. Obviously, the movie failed, but it doesn't matter because they're subsidized by the people with the very deepest of deep pockets. I don't think I saw Men in Black International. And what these guys are learning, who's that Chris Evans guy who was in that, that Woody cartoon is like a Pixar animation where Tim Allen played the role. I forget the name. I'm horrible. Toy Story, right? And what they're learning is they don't have star power. They're in ensemble cast movies that have star power. The movie has power, but the individual actors don't have the star power that they think they have because they leave those franchises and all of a sudden nobody goes to see their movies. And it's like, yeah, you're just some guy from the movie. It's a fungible character. Anyway, nobody cares about those kind of the messaging about issues from 200 years ago because, fundamentally people look at it and go, the country needs to move on. You can't dwell on this issue from 200 years ago. And that's kind of besides the point because it's like, why is it in a movie? Why don't you make some historical, documentary or something where you want to push some kind of narrative? It doesn't like people just don't care about what happened 200 years ago, or the majority of the people who are watching the movie have no connection to it. Why would we have a connection to it? I don't care about that kind of stuff. There's slavery in Africa and the Middle East to this very day, and nobody cares about it because they can't get any money out of it. That's just the reality on the ground. But it ruins the movie. That's the important thing. It's like, are you making entertainment or are you just making some kind of bullshit messaging? And the race swap Mary Jane, nobody wants to see that. That's not how the comic was written, and it's globalist propaganda, obviously, to get tribes to mix type of thing. It doesn't work because people are tribal. They don't want to mix. So why would you put it in the movie? Because to them, movies are just vectors for bullshit propaganda to destroy the West, which they have very successfully done. In our subconscious, we don't connect with movies. People watch them for 90 minutes and that's it. They leave the theater, they don't talk about them, they don't buy the toys associated, the t-shirts, the coffee mugs, when at one time that stuff was huge. Birds of Prey, what an abomination that was. What a foul, I'm trying to work some pun into there. So the thing is, toys from the 70s and 80s sell better than the new stuff. And the tribal issue is something that is just like a foul laid a bad egg or laid a foul egg or something. I don't know. The tribal issue is something that's the core problem, but nobody talks about it because the bullshies have scared people with political correctness. Even when I was a kid, I knew when some comic or show was getting too preachy, something was wrong about it. Too much diversity just kind of raises the hairs on my neck. I'm like, gross. I'm just not into this. Don't you guys value diversity of thought? Can I freely express myself? I'm really tribal. I want to see like tribal shows. Can I get that? And you see the look on their face, just the abject horror. Are you kidding? You can't say you don't want globalist propaganda. That's just phobic. But I mean, who made the rules for these things? I feel this way. I feel globalism is toxic. I feel it's a hate culture. And I mean, once you start an appeal, once they put appeal to the motion on the table as something that is a valid foundation for their argument, then you can respond with I feel. You can respond with appeals to emotion. And then suddenly they want to go back into a facts-based argument, and then you point that out to them. It's like, well, which one is it? And then they just call you Hugo Boss, and they don't really know where to go from there. If they didn't have deflection and ad hominem, they really wouldn't have an argument. Yeah, Captain Marvel did $1 billion+, right? Yeah. So how did the sequel do? Oh, all the Hugo Boss didn't go see the show. So yeah, so how come the women didn't go see the show? How come the liberals didn't see the show? Why did Captain Marvel do $1 billion+? Oh, because it was before the biggest movie in history, the Last Avengers, whatever it was called. So here's the thing. Diversity, ooh, gross. People feel more comfortable in organic tribes, and the media has made this haram for people to discuss. I feel like I need to start one of those hippy-dippy new age cults where everyone smokes and they use crystal energy, and I teach everyone, or vapes these days, I guess, or whatever those things are called, and I teach everyone to be politically incorrect, and that journalists aren't people. They're not. They're actually insects in human costumes. I'll be like Robin DiAngelo, or who's that black guy who's illiterate? Ta-Nehisi Coates. But I'll teach people who the real problems are. And who was that other chick who was running for president? I forget her name. Anomaly was actually tearing her apart on Twitter. He's an interesting character because he's very based, but he hides the power level sufficient to stay on YouTube. But he definitely knows the lay of the land. He knows the way of the world. Anyway, so the point is that the movies are such globalist propaganda now, with every Alinsky Frankfurt School talking point, that deep down people know these movies are just lightweight fluff. It's 90 minutes of distraction, but you can't see it in the box office. You can see it that they're just not selling like they used to. Even that latest Batman and Spider-Man with their woke messaging did well, but they weren't as big as they could have been. They weren't huge, mega hits. And more importantly, they didn't inspire $1 billion toy, clothing, and merchandising, cross-branding type of thing. People saw the movies for the $15 to $20, and that's where they stopped spending money on the product. It didn't have the product itself. The intellectual property didn't have legs. Nobody wants a Mary Jane doll that's not Mary Jane, or pox-swapped characters, because they don't connect with the audience. The character Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker have been the characters since whenever that comic started. Those are the characters. The blonde hair, the red hair, and whatever Peter Parker was. Those are the original characters. That's what built a foundation with people. You hit the jackpot, Tiger. That's the character. And then when you watch the movie, you're like, what the hell is this abomination? This isn't the character. Listen, you can't say that because we put a Mary Sue in the place. So if you criticize her, you're istophobic. So you're just using this actor as a shield. I mean, you see how manipulative that is. Listen, Hugo Boss, that's all they have is ad hominem and deflection. They go, why didn't you make the character look like the comic book Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy? Why didn't you make them accurate? Because diversity. Yeah, we don't want that. We think it's absolute cancer. And they don't have an answer to it because it is propaganda. Hey, Rings of Power, why didn't you follow the books? Well, we're updating it for the modern day. But you're not fit to shine Tolkien's shoes. You know, evil cannot create. That's Rings of Power. Hey, Amazon, you spent $750 million on it. How well is that going to do? Honestly, they could lose all that money. But Amazon's got so much money, it doesn't even matter. Anyway, nobody wants to see those woke characters. Rose Tico, Finn, Mary Sue. That's just a BlackRock checklist of diversity. It doesn't feel real because it's not real. Nobody wants feminist characters or girl power or this diverse found family Bolshevik rootless group. Our based subconscious, our lizard brain rejects it because we know it's propaganda from the worst people on earth, the reptilians. And we know it's not going to last. I mean, that found family doesn't last. It's the most metastable situation ever. It goes to unstable as soon as the movie ends because people want to return to their organic tribes because that's how tribalism works. They don't have anything in common with each other. Why would they want to start over after thousands of years of one group of people having that strength and the deep roots to suddenly just cut it off and try to form something with a new group? It's not your strength, it's weakness. That's literally what the etymology of the word means. Anyway, so people invest 2 hours in this Bolshevik messaging, and it ends when you leave the theater. There's no additional spending on the product. Where in the original Star Wars, they look like they could start a tribe together. In fact, Leia and Han Did, at least the extended universe, I think. And even Luke went off and found his girl and started his own little tribe. So that's how far the window has shifted to the left, because George Lucas at the time was a hippy dippy globalist, but 50 years later he saw what Disney did to it. That they took things just too far and they destroyed them. Where Disney movies did a few $billion, but the toys and the clothing and the coffee mugs didn't do anything. Kids wanted G.I. Joes, Thundercats, He-Man, and Transformers, and all that stuff was crap, don't get me wrong, but it was crap that made sense. And believe it or not, there's kind of a deeper issue here with the 70s and 80s stuff, because it still was globalist crap even 50 years ago, and it actually ties into this post-war phenomenon of taking the Christ out of Christmas and the subversion of the country post-war from a nation into a commercial zone that it pretty... be careful there. But I'll leave that for Subscribestar. But it all does tie in together, and it's been going on for like 70 years. And so the summary, the précis, is woke movies and comics destroy toys because they're all tied in together. If they add fuel to each other, and people just go into the movies and they leave the movies and it's just gone. And what's going to happen is people are going to stop going to the movies because I'm not going to pay $18 to go to a movie that if it just doesn't connect with me. There's just too much of this. There's too much of the message. There's too much girl power, diversity, feminism, whatever. It's all like anti-nation, anti-Christian, misandrist type of messaging. Most people, and of course, it's all blonde man bad. It's one group of people are going to be portrayed as the antagonists, and the Bolshe found family, the mixed, are going to be the protagonists. And that's Hollywood. That's not going to change. So, like when I say all of mainstream, in your lifetime, you're going to see a massive, in the next 5 years, you're going to see a big, pretty good size restructuring of Hollywood. Because they can't afford to make movies that lose $50 to $100 million every other movie. Eventually, they run out of even Larry Fink's money, which is actually your money, which is, kind of another issue. And there's a lot of issues. This is like one facet of the culture war. Why do you still make those stupid YouTube videos? Why don't you stay with BitChute and subscribe and Odyssey? Well, I mean, there are a few pennies that come in from YouTube, believe it or not. But it is one facet of the culture war. It's like all this stuff is interconnected. It's like, yeah, you can have these super base channels, but then you go, well, how is that reflected in pop culture? It's like, this is how it's reflected in pop culture. The messaging is in everything. You have to fight it on every front. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to everyone who has made use of the mailbox and the Subscribestar, Mr. Nature, Vegan, everyone else. And I'll see you guys all next episode.